this is Not-Netflix Natters, Series 3, Episode 7, Protection, Preparation, and Stories Children Encounter. Hi, I'm Jane Falconer. I'm a children's author, mother, grandmother, and lifelong observer of the wonderfully curious ways children make sense of the world. And this is Not-Netflix Natters. Lately, I've been thinking about how difficult it can be to be a parent. Actually, that's not quite true. Parenting has always been difficult. What changes is our world that children are growing up in. When my children were young, there were films they couldn't go and watch, programs they didn't see, and games they weren't allowed to play. I suspect most parents have similar conversations over the years. The details change, but the questions don't. How much freedom should we allow? How much guidance should we provide? Where do we draw the line? I don't think there's a single answer, and if I'm honest, I've become slightly nervous whenever somebody claims there is. Children are different. Families are different. What works for one child might not work for the other. I remember one of my sons desperately wanting to go and see Mortal Kombat, the film, with some friends. He wasn't interested in the age racing, he wasn't interested in the storyline, and he wasn't particularly interested in the film itself, to be honest. What mattered was that his friends were going. He wanted to belong. What strikes me now is that adults sometimes forget this. Children don't always want what everyone else has. Sometimes they simply don't want to be left out. As a parent, I had to make a judgment. Not everybody would have made the same one. Some parents might have been perfectly comfortable with it. I wasn't. The film wasn't right for him at that age. At least that was my view. What mattered was not that he agreed with me. What mattered was he understood why I had reached that decision. Because understanding doesn't always require agreement. Sometimes it simply means taking time to explain. And perhaps that's where many of these conversations begin. Not with rules, with reasons. When children are very young, protection does most of the work. We choose the books, the programs, and the films. We decide what's appropriate. But as children grow, something begins to shift. The challenge becomes helping them understand how to navigate the world for themselves. In other words, protection gradually shifts away and gives way to preparation. And that isn't always easy. In fact, it's been the hardest part of parenting. Children grow up surrounded by stories. Stories in books, stories in films, stories on television, stories on YouTube, stories on social media, stories told by friends, stories told by influencers. Now, some of those stories are wonderful. Some are educational. Some are very entertaining. Some are complete nonsense. The challenge is not protecting children from every story they will ever encounter. That would be impossible. The challenge is helping them make sense of what they encounter. I often think books still play an important role here. A good story creates a safe place to explore ideas. Children can ask questions. They can disagree with characters. They can think about choices. They can imagine consequences. Stories become a rehearsal space for life. The same thing happens after a film, a television program, a documentary, or even a YouTube video. Sometimes the most important thing isn't what the children watch, it's what happens afterwards. A simple conversation can open up all sorts of possibilities. What did you think? Why do you think they did that? Was that a good decision? What would you have done? Those moments help children think beyond the story itself. They help them connect actions with consequences. Thinking about those years now, I don't think we deliberately set out to create a family culture. Today we're setting out a family culture. No. Because like most families, we're simply trying to get through the week. Yet, family culture develops anyway. It develops through what we value, the conversations we have, the way we explain decisions, the way we respond when children disagree with us. One of the things we always prioritised was safety. Not because we wanted to wrap our children in cotton wool, no, and not because we wanted to stop them from exploring the world. Quite the opposite. We believed that keeping children safe and helping them grow were both important. The balance mattered then, and I suspect it matters even more today. Perhaps the most reassuring thing I've learned over the years is that very few families have this completely figured out. We didn't. Most of us are making decisions as we go. We learn, we adapt, we make mistakes, we try again. Parenting can feel lonely sometimes. Grandparenting can feel lonely too. Yet millions of families are asking remarkably similar questions. How much freedom? How much guidance? How much protection? How much preparation? There may never be a perfect answer, but perhaps that isn't the point. Because one day, children will make decisions without us. One day, they will choose their own books. They will choose their own films, their own programs, their own ideas. And when that day comes, I hope they carry something with them from the families who raised them. Not simply rules and not simply restrictions, but confidence to think for themselves, the ability to weigh up different ideas, and the wisdom to make good decisions. Perhaps that is the balance that we're all trying to find. So until next time, thanks for listening.